Yeah, I'm finally talking about this thing. I deliberately waited until after the hype train died down, mainly because I was working on other projects at the time, and plus I had other videos in the scheduled waiting line for about 3 months now, so I'm waiting until just now, when no one's gonna care anymore, to talk about the Switch 2. Boy, was it a whiplash. The Switch 2 had so much hype going towards it. Everyone, despite all the leaks, was still excited for the Switch 2 Direct. April 2nd, it came, an hour-long experience. That was a good Direct. That one starts off with great games. We are finally out of the bland era of nothing but bland Nintendo games with the same freaking font and UI on every single one of their games. That's something only I care about, but we're finally out of that era. We have good games. Good games. They're $90. Yeah. They're not all $90. Some are 80. Digital version specifically. Freaking Breath of the Wild, an 8-year-old game, getting the slightest resolution increase. Well, maybe not slightest. For Switch to Switch 2, that's actually a drastic difference, unlike PS5 to PS5 Pro. But it's like a resolution increase, not even including the DLC, $90 to buy an 8-year-old game again. Let that soak in. Mario Kart World's got all that stuff. It's a brand new AAA game and it's $80. $90 physical. Actually, I think it's still $80 either way. But that is steep. And the Switch 2 console, I don't get people complaining about that price. People are like, kind of like gaslight people into thinking that it's $500. No, that's just a bundle of Mario Kart World. Considering the fact that the game is $80 and it's only a $50 increase if you buy it with the Switch 2, you're getting a $30 deal right there. The actual Switch 2's price, probably about to change, is $450 as of me making this video. I'm recording this halfway through April. But, it got announced right after the Direct is $450. They didn't include that in the Direct. They didn't include any prices. It's a bad move to both include it and not include it because of how steep the prices are. But the fact that they got this all hyped up and deliberately not told us any prices for any of the games. They knew it was going to get a bad reaction. And yet they went through with it anyways. Now, prices, honestly, we got to kind of have to deal with that, unfortunately. Because it looks like that's actually them trying to be as generous as possible. Because now the tariffs are screwing them over. It's supposed to get even more expensive now. We might have to pay like $750 for the console over in the US. It's getting pretty bad. So much so that the pre-orders got delayed indefinitely. That is bad. The Switch 2 is going through a really rough time right now. But the game prices and all the expensive accessories, it adds up. But honestly, like, it was the same in the Switch 1. Just like an extra like 20, like an extra like $10 to $20 per thing. That is still a whole lot more, and it adds up. Like, we should have been expecting this, honestly. But it definitely shouldn't have been a $20 increase. It should have just been $10. Like, $70 becomes the standard. But, yeah. It is definitely something. But the thing that actually makes me more mad than the prices is the fact that they didn't change anything about the Switch, software-wise. That was the one thing the leaks were not correct about. That's the one thing we were wrong about. We were supposed to get, like, a fully revamped UI that's supposed to be, like, Wii U 3DS inspired, themes, music, supposedly return of Miiverse with Vimeo. None of that happened. It's the exact same as the Switch 1. I'm actually pissed off about that. We waited all this time to finally get out of the bland era. We got out of the games, and the Switch 2 is identical to the Switch 1. And people are already trying to differentiate the two consoles. And you make the internals and UI exactly the same. People are already having a hard time figuring out the difference as it is. Some people straight up think they're one and the same console. And you decide to make it exactly the same. Even the slightest minuscule difference we got in the reveal trailer back in January didn't happen. Like I had this new clap sound effect instead of the usual snap. Nope, it's still the snap. So what was the point of making that new soundbite if you were just gonna not use it? That's actually befuddling. Why would you go out of your way to give itself a new image by giving it its own distinct soundbite, only to go back to the Switch once? But, yeah, this is the Series X all over again. Like, the Xbox One is pretty much just defunct now. There's no reason to use it, because the Series X is just the Xbox One with slightly more, but also slightly less. I'd argue there's still more reason to get the Xbox One, because at least there's some dignity with that. At least they were trying. The Series X, they didn't even try at all. You're just playing a husk. But there's that slightest amount of more that makes the Xbox One pretty much unusable. Because all the new updates that are applying to the Series X are applying on the Xbox One. The Xbox One can barely load games anymore. I'm actually not joking about that. It can't load the simplest of indie games anymore. It will chug, and the entire UI, the straight up trying to navigate the menu, it will lag crazy and have a bunch of input delays. They just defunct an entire generation of consoles. You can't go, just stick with Xbox One now. You can't pull an Xbox One and say, just stick with Xbox 360. You straight up can't. Because you just destroyed it. And the Series X didn't fix any problems. And honestly, I'm just getting that of the Switch 2 now. The same menu didn't fix any problems. The menu's still the same. It's still unorganized. The eShop is better, but only in spirit. How it's laid out is exactly the same, except it's a bit more organized. That's it. And they changed the color theme. So there goes the iconic orange. To be fair, that comes out of nowhere. Nintendo is red, but like that's all they changed. That's all they changed. All they changed was making it curved and rounded. Series X, again, making it slightly more rounded. That's it. And they added RGB highlights but that's it. That's literally all they did. I'm so mad. They could even throw us a button like, you can keep that same layout, but you gotta like add more to it. Like, even like in terms of like groups, you have to do the most ass backwards way of getting these groups, and it's probably gonna be exactly as they're probably gonna cut it out entirely. It's just a waste of your time. There's no themes. Vimeo is a complete lie. That didn't happen at all. We don't got anything. The welcome tour being paid, digital games sold separately, $10 for an interactive manual. What's the point? That's gonna flop. What is the actual point of that? And then you got like some of the goofier ones, like you got legs, or the Dragon Drive, which wheelchair basketball. I honestly think that's very funny, a very silly idea. But apparently everyone absolutely hated the idea and think that game is like the biggest sin Nintendo's ever created. And I'm just like, it's supposed to be silly. It's supposed to be harmless. They're forgetting about that, but they're not forgetting about the UI. That's honestly the biggest concern to me, honestly. The UI has importance. It's not about the games. There's no point even going on in that conversation. Like, that's something that only matters to me. And there's just so much more crap coming out daily about the Switch 2. It is troubling. It's just like the biggest whiplash. They did add like game chat. There's game share. That's actually a really good feature. Adding download play. Like, that's all they added. Was like the game share and the game chat. Both really good features, but we just need a bit more. We need it to differentiate itself more. Give it itself its charm. Not actually make it worth the price. Otherwise, this just feels like hardware. It doesn't feel like something you want to buy. It feels like something they're making you buy. And that's the end of the sentence. There's just so much more crap that we can talk about the Switch 2 right now, but it's not even worth your time. No matter how amazing Mario Kart World looks.